Did you date Jean-Michel Trogneau? Are you gay? Why are you so obsessed calling me from the White House? Stop talking about Brigitte. Is it a physical attraction truly that you had there? Dear Mr. President Trump, I've always been a fan of gladiator movies. I have watched them all countless times. Everybody who watches this podcast knows that. And when I consider what it is that I am so drawn to, like, is it the actors? Is it the storyline? Yeah, in part, of course, who could deny like the performance of Russell Crowe in the first film? But above all of that, the characters, the script, there sits this sort of incontrovertible truth that I am absolutely fascinated by, which is the fragility of empires, right? What is it ultimately that collapses an empire? What makes an emperor weak or an emperor strong? I think more to the heart of the matter, the question is, what is it that makes a king or an emperor feel threatened initially, right? The setup of every movie is always the same. You have the wealthy elites, the politicians perched above a coliseum, slaves fighting to their deaths beneath, all for their distinct entertainment, obviously. And then comes the inevitable narrative flip. Suddenly, the elites and their scribes and the senators, they perceive a threat. And when does that happen? That's actually not a rhetorical question, Mr. President. I know the answer. It is when a slave begins to command the crowd. Every single time, without fail. That's when the politicians begin to feel worried. And what is of particular interest to me about that moment is that the slaves, on their end, they never desire the seats of the politicians, right? They just want to have their most basic needs met. In most circumstances, they'd happily would serve some sort of structure of governance forever if their basic needs could be met, but it's proven to be a historical impossibility, right? Inevitably, we arrive at the moment of political extravagance, the fabled let them eat cake moment. They just can't stop, right? There can be absolutely no truth between a master and his slave for that reason. The nature of the relationship forbids it. And I think about this a lot now, very often, mostly in the context of our late mutual friend, Charlie Kirk. I think to myself, when was the exact moment that Charlie Kirk understood that he was not free, that he had money and that he had fame, but he did not actually have freedom? You know, between you and I, whoever it was that made the decision to kill him was correct in their assessment that he was indeed a threat, because Charlie Kirk could command a crowd. He was capable of that. So much so that he actually, if you think about it, he's been dead for 7 months and the crowd still moves on his behalf. That's incredible. That is real power, Mr. Trump. You should ask yourself, how did he achieve it? I would offer it's because he never sat above, perched, looking down at the slaves, right? Charlie understood how movements were built and, more crucially, how they were sustained. Someone actually said to me shortly after his death that Charlie was a maestro. He understood that every instrument was needed to command an orchestra. The strings, the woodwind, the brass, the percussion, all very different sounds, but he could hear them each brilliantly, each section. And at various times, he would conduct one sound above the other, more flute, less violin, more cello. Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, different instruments, to be sure. But only a fool or someone under the express direction of one could have thought to hit send on what you published on Truth Social last night. And I think that we should read it together, Mr. President, shall we? Okay, here's what you wrote. You wrote, I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. Because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They are stupid people. They know it, their families know it, and everyone else knows it too. Look at their past, look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They are nut jobs, troublemakers, and they will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think they can get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them and their views are the opposite of MAGA, or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. Okay, let's park it there, right? Let's just chew on that portion right there first, because it is a stunning break from reality. Because I'll ask the question, do you have any idea why it was, Mr. President, that your old tweets, the sentences you used to say, which were typically definitely insults back in 2015, but do you ever wonder why they worked? I can help you. Ready? It's because they were rooted in some element of truth. Okay. So if you called Rosie O'Donnell unattractive, or when you said Hillary Clinton should be in prison, it played to the crowd because although many people thought it was inappropriate and beneath the dignity of a politician, it was based in truth, right? Hillary Clinton's done some things. Now, you can call Megyn Kelly a great many things. I have definitely had my political disagreements with her over the years. Low IQ? Really? Tucker Carlson, low IQ? Me, low IQ? The three of us unsuccessful somehow? When you write stuff like that, you just demonstrate nothing but your own irrationality. It just doesn't land. Nobody cares about them anymore. Really? You're the leader of the free world and you're tweeting about us. I think that means somebody cares. Actually, what nobody cares about anymore and what you seem to have an inability to comprehend is that traditional cable news no longer moves the needle. Cable TV is a dying medium. FDR, he used the radio, right? His voice, the fireside chats, it worked. It moved audiences when it was new. And when the world transitioned there, and then suddenly it was the dawn of television, JFK's good looks on the screen, that served him. And he used that. Once again, fast forward to today, and the world is technologically advancing. Yet you're launching insults at what you don't comprehend. Joe Rogan is not going to do Fox News hits. Do you understand this? He is not trying to get on CNN. None of us are. I don't know how else to help you understand. You are quite literally mocking people because they comprehend something that you don't. Tucker Carlson is more powerful than you. Deep down, I think you know that, and I think you resent that, which is proven by your next lines. Let's read on. You continue, MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating of Trump, not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Okay. Obviously, Tucker Carlson is in his prime. The whole world understands that. That sentence, he couldn't even finish college. Are you aware that your base is comprised of blue-collar workers who never went to college, many who never so much wanted to go to college, never dreamed it? The farmers, the ranchers, the plumbers, the electricians, the people who work with their hands, you now stick your nose up to all of those people? Do you know who else didn't go to college? Charlie Kirk didn't go to college. Those men, many, I would say, a lot of the men and women that you and Pete Hegseth want to send to their deaths in the Middle East, many of them, probably most of them, didn't go to college. And let me be perfectly clear here when I say that each and every one of them is infinitely more smart and more capable than you and the people that you surround yourself with in this moment. But let's continue, because CNN says you got 100% support. You write, or Megyn Kelly, who nastily asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question, or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. This Brigitte Macron, who did you write that sentence for? Not even Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron applauded that sentence, okay? They said, incroyable. It doesn't help. Sometimes propaganda, when it's too naked, actually just hurts the cause that it purports to support. What is your obsession with Brigitte? This Brigitte Macron in the swimsuit, you think that you can command people, men, straight men, to suddenly think that Brigitte is hot? Did you date Jean-Michel Trogneau? Are you gay? Why are you so obsessed calling me from the White House? Stop talking about Brigitte. Is it a physical attraction truly that you had there back when he was better looking, I suppose? Did you sleep with him when he was a man? Do you think people care? To your point about, I hope she wins money since it's all you see, gold, shekels. Do you think your base cares when the subject matter is children that are being statutorily raped by their supervisors? Do you understand that no one in MAGA, in true MAGA, cares about money above truth and protecting children? Did you connect that dot when we revolted against you saying, what about the Epstein files? That seems to be a theme with you. Protecting people who harm children. Why do you keep doing that? Why do you want people to be sued for standing up to that class? We continue. Let's go back to your message conclusively, right? Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune, as he should have. It's all about money for you, Trump, isn't it? For his horrendous attack on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming that it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers, and they always will be. Now, fake news CNN, who you literally, you just cited as saying you had 100% support. So are they fake or are they real, Trump? Now, the fake news CNN, the failing New York Times, and all of the other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They are not MAGA, they are losers, just trying to latch onto MAGA. As president, I could get them on my side anytime I want, but when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on world and country affairs. And after a few times, they go nasty, just like Marjorie Trader Brown. But I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about doing what is right for our country. MAGA is about winning and strength in not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA is about making America great again, and these people have no idea how to do that, but I do, because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. President Donald J. Trump. Was that written by Mark Levin, like when he was 6? Or who put this message together? The hottest country in the world because we're bombing kids for no reason, because we just killed 150 schoolgirls for no reason, because you guys just lied about 6 of our servicemen who died. And they had to leak that to CBS News, that you were lying about what was happening. Is that what makes us hot? Is Hot Girl Summer being led by Brigitte Macron and people who attack people, other journalists, for telling the truth? What's going on? Who put this message together for you and hit send? You're citing CNN, but you're also dissing CNN for having produced certain polls. I don't know. You just told us that we couldn't get on CNN, but now you're saying that we have good coverage on CNN. You're all over the place. It seems like you can't put together a coherent thought. Let me tell you something, and this is just reality, okay? Going back to just the rules of the jungle. Okay, let all the politicians and advisors around you evaporate for just a moment. Just you and me. Ready? People will not fight beside, behind, or for someone who is fundamentally disloyal. Okay? If disloyalty and deceit is in your nature, then I highly suggest that you combine it with silence. You can be what you are, but I would advise you do it quietly, Trump, because MAGA is no longer commanded by you, and you know it. You know it. You belong to the Epstein class. That is your legacy now. People will see your name on buildings, whatever was agreed upon in those boardrooms, Jared Kushner, Trump, Gaza, hotel, whatever you tweeted, so crass. They will see that. You will earn that. And then when they see it, they will think about how many children had to die or be raped by men on islands so that you could stick the Trump name upon a building. And for clarity, Mr. President, that's not my fault. That's not Megyn Kelly's fault. That's not Tucker Carlson's fault. You made that trade. You chose money above respect. And what an absolute shame that you chose to do that toward the end of your life, okay? Because you can't take money and things and stuff with you when you go, just your soul. And you sold yours for what? Another gilded ballroom? Let me be perfectly clear when I say this. Charlie Kirk, he died free. You will most certainly die a slave, okay? You are in chains right now, and the entire world can see that perfectly. At best, what you can hope for in this moment is that maybe one day upon the college campuses that you so deeply cherish, they'll teach all about your now tarnished legacy as the perfect modern day example of Plato's allegory of the cave. You're familiar with that one? The prisoner chained in a cave, multiple prisoners chained in a cave with a fire burning behind them, mistaking shadows on the wall for reality. And when one of those prisoners escapes and makes it outside of the cave and into true daylight and sees, oh, wait, that's not reality, and they return and they try to tell the other prisoners, no, there's truth and there's actual reality outside, they fight that person. They don't believe it. They call that person crazy. That's you. You are chained inside of a cave right now. And who's making those shadows on the wall, right? At best, the annals of history, I think within them, you will be relegated to a philosophical discussion. The madness of President Trump. People will ask, who made Mr. Trump believe the shadows on the wall were real? The professor will chide the class. And in essays, students will cite the example of the man who was once considered a leader of a movement, suddenly reduced to sitting on the side in the Situation Room at the White House while the leader of a foreign country, Benjamin Netanyahu, stands above him, convincing him that Iran represents an imminent threat which can be crippled within weeks. Yeah, the students in that class will be mystified. It will be such a compelling examination. Good discussion. Bibi is your master. Maybe it's Miriam Adelson that lights the fire and Bibi that makes the shadows on the wall. But the entire world recognizes that now.